Afternoon, and as the economic freedom fighters, we always start on time. Welcome to Winnie Madikizela Mandela House. For those who don't know me, and it's not many, my name is Leanne Matthys. I'm the national spokesperson for the economic freedom fighters. Thank you for joining our EFF presser. Today we have our officials with us. We have our Treasurer General, our National Chairperson, our Deputy Secretary General, our Secretary General, and of course our Commander-in-Chief and President Julius Malema, who is leading our presser today. President. Are you sitting?
Yeah. This thing is too long. Good afternoon, members of the media, the officials of the EFF, the people of South Africa. The Economic Freedom Fighters is going to the 3rd National People's Assembly, which will be held between the 12th and 15th of December 2024 at Johannesburg, Nazareth Expo Center, under the theme, Defend, Rebuild and Advance the Struggle for Economic Freedom. The National People's Assembly is the highest decision-making body of the EFF, convened by the democratically elected Central Command Team every 5 years. This gathering is attended by 90% of delegates from branches of the EFF. Since we released guidelines on the 30th of July 2024, out of 2,123 branches that met the requirements to convene a branch People's Assembly, branch General Assembly, a total of 1,100 branches met, elected new leadership and programs of action and delegates to the NPA. A branch that meets the requirements is a branch that has 100 paid-up members who are registered to vote in their branch and received a minimum of 10% of the votes in the 2024 national and provincial elections. Additionally, 1,023 branches are currently preparing to convene their meetings in order to meet the deadline of the 30th of October 2024. The Leadership Collective is satisfied that the majority of EFF members have conducted themselves with maximum discipline and in line with the guidelines, which demonstrate a sign of political maturity and the growth of the organization, with the exception of minor incidents and disputes, which were all positively resolved. We want to commend all delegates and encourage all of them to continue with maximum discipline to defend the movement, because there will be a temptation to provoke us. There will be information peddlers and spies. We must remain vigilant. Registration of all delegates will take place at the University of Johannesburg Soweto campus on the 12th of December, starting from 10 a.m. All delegates from branches, regions, and provinces will be transported to the registration venue and accommodation in various hotels around Johannesburg with daily shuttles to Nazareth Expo Center. Once registration is complete, all delegates will be allocated to the accommodation, which will be different hotels across Johannesburg. Transportation to and from the assembly venue will strictly be through the provided shuttles to avoid unnecessary traffic congestion and to prevent fatigued drivers, since some of the sessions might take longer than anticipated. The registration of all assembly workers, including staff, media, local and international guests, and security, will take place at the same venue, University of Johannesburg, Soweto, on the same date of the 12th of December 2024. We have invited embassies and they have until the 30th of October to confirm their attendance. They will also register for accreditation on the same date and at the same venue. Part of what the Assembly must do, in addition to the consideration of the constitutional amendments, reviewing the work of the currently elected leadership against the adopted program of action by the 2nd National People's Assembly, and adopting a new program of action for the next 5 years, is to elect new leadership as the term of the current leadership will come to an end. We will appoint an independent, reputable electoral commission, which, as stated in the guidelines, will facilitate nominations and voting for leadership. All nominations and voting for leadership will take place at the Assembly in a transparent and orderly manner, as we have done in the past. Delegates, both voting and non-voting, will have an opportunity to participate in commissions. We'll have a total of 12 commissions: a commission on organizational character and redesign, a commission on land and agrarian reform, on gender struggles, media, communication and battle of ideas, health and social development, education, Pan-Africanism and progressive internationalism, the economy and state-led industrialization, state capacity, governance, justice, peace and security, sports, arts and culture. These documents are a product of engagements guided by the EFF Founding Manifesto adopted in July 2013, intended to stimulate and encourage engagements both internal and external. We do not convene the assembly only to elect leadership, but we must come back with a clear, well-articulated and practical plan of action. While we appreciate their intended purpose, we also want to remind those outside that these are not resolutions, but merely serve to facilitate discussions. The key highlights of the discussion documents include the following. On organizational character and redesign, the organizational character and redesign perspective is an update to previous organic perspectives, with a stronger emphasis on how the organization can defend, rebuild and advance the struggle for economic freedom. Central to this proposal is a focus on building strong, sustainable and viable organizational structures, starting with increasing the membership requirement for a branch from 100 to 200 members with a presence in voting districts. The perspective also advances that every member must be an activist with direct influence on potential voters. Additionally, it proposes the establishment of a robust membership system that can account for each member and support of the EFF in terms of age, gender, and occupation. Furthermore, it suggests devolving an EFF region into sub-regions to better reflect the realities of South Africa's political and social landscape. Finally, the perspective proposes doing away with the student command and reorganizing it into a youth command that unifies all young people into a single structure, encompassing those in schools, universities, at work, and unemployed. On land and agrarian reform, this discussion document reaffirms the EFF's ideological foundation concerning land reform, particularly the first cardinal pillar, expropriation of land without compensation for equal redistribution and use. It explains the failure to amend the property clause in Parliament and offers a vision of state custodianship of land, proposing legislation within the current constitutional framework. The document critiques the post-1994 land restitution program as a failure, calling for its replacement with redistribution-focused program. Agrarian reform is also highlighted, reaffirming the need for small-scale agriculture to drive the country's future. On gender struggle, the on-gender struggle perspective links gender inequality with broader socio-economic oppression rooted in South Africa's patriarchal and capitalist system. The document argues that the fight for gender justice cannot be separated from racial and economic struggles, as Black women and gender non-conforming individuals face intersecting forms of oppression. It calls for legislative reforms, education against patriarchy, and initiatives to address gender-based violence while promoting women's economic participation. The document champions the creation of a non-sexist, inclusive society that rejects patriarchal norms and foster equality across all sectors of life. On media communication and the battles of ideas, the perspective reflects on the media and the ICT landscape in South Africa, focusing on the dominance of certain players like MultiChoice and the duopoly of MTN and Vodacom in the telecommunication sector, which drives up data costs. The document critiques the journalistic sphere and highlights how ideological propaganda against the EFF intensified ahead of the 2024 elections. It underscores the need to break the monopoly on media narratives to foster a more inclusive and fair public discourse. On health and social development, the Health and Social Development Perspective critiques the current National Health Insurance, NHI, arguing that it fails to provide universal coverage and addresses systematic inequalities in the healthcare system. The document calls for strengthening primary healthcare services and ensuring every ward has at least one clinic or polyclinic. Additionally, it proposes reintroducing 24-hour clinic services and increasing provincial healthcare training facilities. On social development, the document advocates for the doubling of social grants, the introduction of youth grant, and other protective social measures to uplift marginalized communities. On education, the education perspective addresses systematic inequalities rooted in apartheid-era policies, which continue to plague South Africa's education system. It calls for a decolonized, free and quality education system that provides equal opportunities to all learners, particularly the black majority. The EFF's vision for education include expanding early childhood development, ECD, improving infrastructure, and aligning higher education with South Africa's industrial and developmental needs. By addressing these systematic challenges, the document envisages education as a tool for economic emancipation and social justice. On Pan-Africanism and progressive internationalism, the Pan-Africanism and progressive internationalism perspective envisions Africa's liberation from imperialism through unity, economic self-reliance, and sovereignty. It emphasizes the dismantling of neo-colonial structures and advocates for African unity and the nationalization of key industries to benefit the continent's people. Additionally, it calls for solidarity with global leftist movement to resist capitalist exploitation while promoting Africa's leadership in a progressive multipolar world order. The economy, state-led industrialization. This perspective addresses the crisis of unemployment and poor economic growth with a focus on transferring the wealth to the black working class and African majority. The discussion document rejects privatization and advocates for a state-led industrialization agenda that prioritizes infrastructure development, the nationalization of strategic sectors, and transition to state-led energy production. Central to this vision is the call for the nationalization of the South African Reserve Bank and finalization of the EFF private member bill before Parliament to transfer the ownership of the current central bank from the hands of few minority into the custody of the state to ensure that monetary policy is aligned with the developmental needs of the majority and addresses the abnormality of private ownership of the central bank in the world when overwhelming majority of banks are owned by the government on behalf of the people. Furthermore, the appointment of the governor and the deputy governors of the Reserve Bank must be made by Parliament through a transparent process with interviews held publicly, similar to the process of appointing judges, ensuring that the leadership of the central bank is accountable to the people and reflects the democratic will of the nation. It also emphasizes the strengthening of the South African revenue services to combat illicit financial flows, which deprive the country of much-needed resources for transformation. Furthermore, the perspective emphasizes the importance of transformation of the national treasury as critical. As in the hands of reactionary forces, this institution has been used to undermine efforts to transfer wealth to the African majority. This document also called for the increasing of corporate tax to ensure that the big businesses contribute fairly to the development of the country and for reducing the value-added tax VAT back to 14%, relieving the burden on ordinary South Africans. On state capacity, the perspective stresses the importance of a capable state in driving economic transformation and delivering essential services. The document advocates for building a developmental state that manages infrastructure, maintains public assets, and directs strategic sectors through state-owned enterprises. Insourcing essential services and abolishing tenders are key proposals to ensure that public procurement stimulates local industries and creates jobs, making the state the primary driver of national development. On governance, the perspective focuses on the EFF's goal of capturing political power to transform the economy and emancipate the black majority. It highlights the party's experience with coalition politics and the failures of post-apartheid governance, particularly in addressing economic inequalities. The EFF remains committed to revolutionary principles while grappling with the practical governance challenges, proposing strategic power sharing, effective service delivery, and structural reforms to uplift marginalized communities. On justice, peace, and security, the perspective says, grounded in a Marxist analysis of the state, this perspective critiques the post-apartheid justice system as serving bourgeoisie's interest. The document highlights the tension between constitutional supremacy and parliamentary sovereignty, suggesting that the judiciary's strong review powers hinder transformative change. Proposals include the strengthening of the National Prosecuting Authority and its directorates, such as Asset Forfeiture Unit, Specialized Commercial Crimes, Sexual Offences, and Community Affairs, as well as all other essential directorates. Additionally, it calls for the appointment of the head of NPA to be made by a democratically elected parliament rather than the president, who the NPA may still need to decide on whether to prosecute or not, ensuring accountability and impartiality. The document also advocates for the strengthening of Chapter 9 institutions, including the Public Protector, South African Human Rights Commission, and the Commission for Gender Equality, to safeguard democracy and ensure justice. The proposals further recognize the urgent need to address the rampant crime crisis that has gone out of control, with daily mass killings, high levels of murder, rape, and other serious offenses. It calls for the strengthening of intelligence services and overall security measures to combat these crimes decisively. Moreover, the document proposes that the Judicial Service Commission's recommendations be sent to National Assembly for finalization and appointment, instead of leaving these decisions in the hands of the President. The broader aim is to shift South Africa's legal system towards one rooted in equality, justice, and the empowerment of democratic institutions to better serve the people. Sports, arts, and culture. The sports, arts, and culture perspective emphasizes the need for transformation in this sector to overcome apartheid's legacy. The document outlines the EFF's vision of sports and arts as drivers of economic emancipation and social cohesion, calling for investment in infrastructure, promoting of women's participation, and support for local industries. The aim is to empower black practitioners in these fields, ensuring their inclusion and economic liberation. All these discussion documents for the Assembly will be circulated publicly in all our social media accounts and will be sent to all members of the EFF, including members of the media. We welcome the election of the new mayor of the city of Tshwane, Dr. Nasipi Moya of Action SA, who was elected by an overwhelming majority of democratically elected councillors in Tshwane. The people of Hammanskraal, Soshanguve, Atteridgeville, Mamelodi, and Arangua have been neglected, left to live alongside illegal dump sites without clean and dependable water, while white suburbs were given maximum attention. Many of the suburbs dominated by white people are well maintained, with working street lights, painted roads, and road signs that are well maintained. We call on the newly elected mayor to hit the ground running, consult the collective, and deliver services to all the people of the city of Tshwane, and avoid prioritizing areas on the basis of race like the former mayor. We welcome the dissolution of the dysfunctional municipal council of Tabazimbi, and we view this development as necessary. The whole municipality is dissolved and is expected to hold elections in all 12 wards on the 4th of December 2024. It is the people of Tabazimbi who suffer from poor service delivery because of dysfunctional municipal council. We also want to commend EFF public representatives, particularly EFF members of parliament, who are visible in communities tackling issues of service delivery. The EFF is the most effective and constructive opposition in the 7th Parliament, providing necessary oversight and holding the executive to account. The EFF members of Parliament were the only ones visible doing oversight work during the constituency period, which began on the 23rd of September and will run until the 7th of October 2024. All issues observed during the constituency period will be brought to the Parliament in the form of questions, motions, member statements, and participation in committees. The EFF Parliamentary Caucus has been hard at work with all members diligently attending to their constitutional duty of holding the executive accountable through questions, motions, member statements, and robust engagements in portfolio committees. Since the beginning of the term of the 7th administration of the Parliament of South Africa, the EFF has been making progressive proposals in Parliament that are in the interest of ordinary South Africans and ensures that the executive is held accountable. These include, but are not limited to, reintroduction of the motion to nationalize the South African Reserve Bank, the motion to establish an ad hoc committee to investigate extortion in South Africa with a specific focus on the Western Cape, Eastern Cape, and KwaZulu-Natal, the motion to establish an ad hoc committee to investigate the use of ballot gloves by private security guards following the murder of the EFF councillor, Honorary Commissar Moshe Mphatlele. The motion to establish an ad hoc committee to investigate the theft of pension funds from workers by private security companies and local government municipalities. The referral of the Minister of Agriculture to the Ethics and Members' Interest Committee for the appointment of unqualified DA members into positions in government. The EFF will continue with this work and encourages society to reach out to EFF public representatives whose contact details are publicly available to raise issues confronting them so that they can be given a platform in Parliament. We want to send our deepest and heartfelt condolences to the families of the 18 people killed in the Eastern Cape in Lusikisiki and call on the police to be decisive in dealing with criminals who do not value life, particularly that of women and children. Lusikisiki police station is amongst the top 10 police stations that record the highest reported murder rates, and this has been the case for some time. This is a clear sign that unless decisive action is taken, our people will continue to be subjected to lawlessness. Soon after the memorial service of the 18, we were informed that arrests had been made. However, on the very same Monday, another 6 people were killed in Tumbu, which falls under a neighboring police station. We extend our deepest condolences to the families of Tumbu victims as well. This continuous killing are indication that serious and urgent intervention is required. Law enforcement agencies must intensify efforts to bring an end to this senseless violence and restore safety and peace in our communities. We also want to send our deepest condolences and heartfelt condolences to the families in Soweto who have lost 5 children, allegedly due to food poisoning. We once again call on the authorities, including our own deployee to the city of Johannesburg as the MMC of public safety, to ensure that such things do not happen, but also that there are consequences. We expect a detailed report to be submitted to our office by the MMC of public safety in this regard. We reject the imperial forces marking the 7th of October 2023 as the day the Israeli-Palestinian war began. It was in fact yesterday, the 9th of October, that marked 1 year since the racist apartheid state of Israel embarked on a genocidal cleansing of Palestinians in Gaza, which began on the 9th of October 2023. In the past year, Israel has deployed high-graded weapons, including internationally banned phosphorus, to target civilians and destroy schools, hospitals, even century-old Palestinian heritage sites. Over 900 Palestinian family lines have been erased, with the death toll suspected to exceed 100,000, most of whom are women and children. Journalists and aid workers have also been ruthlessly targeted, while Israeli leaders openly declare their intention to obliterate Palestinian life. The complicity of the international community, particularly Western powers like the US and the UK, has been disgraceful. Despite the International Court of Justice issuing an advisory opinion to not be complacent in genocidal acts, billions in military aid have been channeled to Israel, perpetuating its war machine in what amounts to a proxy war. The EFF will continue to put pressure on South African government to cut all diplomatic ties with Israel. The EFF is engaging the Speaker of the National Assembly to ensure that the EFF motion adopted in the 6th Parliament for South Africa to cut all diplomatic ties is implemented. The EFF calls on all sectors to cancel or suspend economic relationship, trade agreements, and academic relations with Israel. We support the boycott, disinvestment, and sanctions movement. We reject the marking of 7th of October as the day the war and genocide against Palestinians began. Under the illegal occupation by Israel, Hamas legitimately resisted Israel's occupation of Palestine on that day. It was not an act of war. It is a battle for the freedom of the Palestinians. The creation of the largest open-air prison was a signal of the conditions for genocide. It has been 1 year and 76 years of occupation, apartheid, and imperial oppression. We demand an immediate ceasefire and an end to genocide. We once more condemn Israel's ongoing expansion of violence and illegal occupation in the Middle East. The Iranian missiles response to Israel's aggression against Lebanon, Syria, and the assassination of Hezbollah leader is a just and necessary defense. We send our well wishes to the people of the People's Republic of China, which observed the 70th anniversary of the founding of the Republic on the 1st of October, and we wish the people of the Republic of China well in the future as they remain committed to the peace, stability, and progress of the world. We wish the people of Mozambique well in their elections that took place yesterday, and we wish them peace as they continue with the counting. The people of Mozambique must respect the wishes of the electorate. We want to send our deepest condolences to Ray Macaulay, the senior pastor and founder of Rema Bible Church, renowned gospel artist and cultural icon Solimuholo, revolutionary poet James Matthews, and award-winning kwaito artist Sandile Ngwenya, known as Mapaputsi. We pray their spirit rest in revolutionary peace. I thank you.
Thank you, President. I think you need some water after that.
If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content like this. And as always, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.